Hi everyone, Savannah Tree Foundation Field Manager Jake Henry here, and I am in downtown Savannah to do a fun video on a really unique tree species we have here. So this is an Italian cypress, or Cupressus sempervirens. This is a non-native species, so it's originally from the Mediterranean area, hence its name, Italian cypress. It is a true cypress in the genus Cupressus. Unlike bald cypress, which is actually in its own genus Taxodium, but they are closely related and they kind of look similar in some ways. We'll get a close-up on the leaves here in a minute. But one of the really interesting characteristics of this tree is the extremely upright columnar shape. You may have seen these around. They're very iconic. You'll know an Italian cypress the second that you see it. And you know, in urban environments, we always talk about right tree, right place. This form can have a lot of right places. So you'll see here, these trees are actually pretty much right against the edge of this building. Now, a little bit closer than I would have planted them, but still, they fit really well. They're not branching out. They're not causing issues, you know, branching into the windows and whatnot. So a really cool form that you don't find in lots of other tree species. You know, palms, which again aren't technically trees, do grow very upright. We've got some other good, strong vertical growers like pine trees or sycamores. But these really just have their own character. You know, they're evergreens, so they keep all this beautiful green foliage year round, and they really just stay nice and tight as they grow vertically. So just such a cool shape on these trees. Now, again, I did mention they're non-native, but they are not an invasive tree, so we don't mind them too much. You know, they don't cause a lot of trouble. But they are non-native to the area, so we try not to overuse them. But again, they can fit in really interesting tight spaces, small courtyards, especially when they're planted in a line. They can have a really strong visual effect. So really just a cool species, and they can get very tall. So these are relatively young, and they're maybe 40 to 50 feet tall, but they can get quite a bit taller than that at maturity. So just a really cool tree species that we've got here. Okay, so here's a little close-up of our Italian cypress, and you can see it's got these needle-like leaves here, very similar to a bald cypress or an eastern red cedar. Again, they are evergreens, and usually what happens with a lot of evergreens like this is the outside branches stay green, but the interiors tend to die because there's not a lot of sunlight. So that's okay. Most of the green foliage is on the outside. You can see here, not a whole lot on the inside. Not a bad thing, that's just how they grow. However, if you over prune them or they get some kind of damage or die off, you can see up there's a little bit of foliage death. It's really hard to replace it. So you lose that kind of nice, complete form. It is important to maintain them if you want to keep that nice, consistent, healthy character. But again, they still look beautiful even with a little bit of foliage loss. Some really nice sort of scaly bark, just like our eastern red cedar and bald cypress. And again, these trees aren't very old. I mean, they're, you know, a good 8 inches in diameter. So these are probably, you know, 10 to 20 years old at least. But they could get quite a bit bigger. So really just neat looking trees. Now, I will say they're a little bit close to the building. I would have given them a little bit more space. You know, we have all this vertical space and they're nice and high and tight, but they do still need a lot of root space. Now, one of the perks here is that this is brick, so there is some water percolation happening. This is all open along this strip along the building, so not necessarily a bad thing. They're obviously still doing pretty well, but we always got to make sure that we're giving trees plenty of root space to not only get all the nutrients and water that they need, but also make themselves stable. You know, we are here on the coast where we experience a lot of hurricanes. Hurricane season is happening right now, so we want to make sure that these trees have nice, vigorous root systems and are able to keep themselves upright. But just another fun tree species I wanted to talk about today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Take care.